Moving to Costa Rica with kids? Here are 5 schools that you need to know about in Guanacaste. Hi everyone, Sarah Breitlander here with Krain Luxury Real Estate. And if you love Costa Rica and Costa Rica real estate as much as we do, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and like these videos. This video is near and dear to my heart because if some of you are hesitant to move down to Costa Rica because you think your kids can't get a quality education down here, well, you're just wrong. I'm happy to say education is very near and dear, always has been to me and my family. And I can tell you right now that I would not be here if we did not have quality education for our children. So I'm so excited to do this video because so many of my clients ask, and if you are buying real estate down here and you are interested in the schools, let us know. We can help not only, of course, buy the asset here, but help with the relocation process and help you discover all of these beautiful schools here in the Guanacaste region of Costa Rica. Okay, here we go. Top 5 schools in Guanacaste. You know, scratch that. I'm going to say something first, kind of like a disclosure. First of all, I have no favorites. Yes, my children go to one of these schools. I always say, honestly, it is an absolute blessing that we have more than one school here. In fact, we have more than 5. I'm just covering the top 5. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And so the fact that we have no shortage of alternatives and quality education for our children is an absolute blessing, right? So I love all of these schools and I'm glad they're all here. And there's no overall best or overall worst. It depends on many factors. It depends on your child. It also depends on your long-term plans and where you plan to live after this, right? Or if you want a safety net, if you're moving down and you want a safety net of going back home, it depends on where you're from. And some of my clients, and I love it when I see this, they'll buy homes down here, magnificent homes here, and with no plans when they buy the home to come to the schools, but then they discover that the schools are so amazing here, and they'll move their family down here for a year just for the experience of the school down here. And some of them don't go back. But the cool thing is that so often you can plug them in or bring them down here and just plug them back in. And then you have an adventure for you and your family to talk about for years to come. So with that said, now we're going to get started on the top 5 schools in Guanacaste. Number 1, CRIA, the Costa Rica International Academy. This is the oldest private school in the area. It used to be the former Country Day School. So if you hear that, and then they transitioned about a decade ago over to CRIA. If you hear that, that's what that's referring to. This is definitely a top tier school in the area. It is, I would say, the most structured school out of all of them. By the way, almost all of the schools I'm talking about wear uniforms, which we fully support. It's such a nice equalizer, and it's also such a nice thing to not have to argue about in the mornings, especially when you have 2 girls, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I digress. So Costa Rica International Academy, I would say, has the most structure. They are US accredited and MEP accredited, which means Costa Rica accredited. Okay. So they have that dual accreditation, which makes them super strong. A lot of my Canadian and US clients love this school. They have toddler through 12th grade. So their span is amazing. If you are on the US college path, this is your safest bet. So they have a lot of, it's a US college prep school, right? They have AP classes, which is really, really nice. And so a lot of my clients really, really love CRIA. They also, after COVID, there was a big boom down here. Probably everyone moved like all over the world. And CRIA really made the conscious effort to expand. So they kind of doubled each of their classes. And some other schools made the decision to stay small and had a waiting line to get in. So CRIA is one of those that decided to expand with the demand. So I would say they're almost 2 of every class. I think a couple classes have 3. And then they have the primary on one side and the secondary on the other. Really well-run school, been here for a long time, a great safe bet, and it's also a very traditional, having the most structure. So, which I think is a good thing, because I think a lot of Costa Rica, isn't structure. It's wild and adventurous, and that's why a lot of us are here. But when it comes to the school part, I think it's great to have that structure for the kids. 2 other things important to note about CRIA. Number 1, people always ask me, is it taught in English or in Spanish? So because CRIA is a U.S. accredited school, all of the core classes necessarily must be taught in English, right? To comply with that accreditation. And then all of the other classes essentially are taught in Spanish. So art, PE will be taught in Spanish. Costa Rica social studies will be taught in Spanish. And so all of those, and then plus, of course, they have actual Spanish. So your kids will learn a ton of Spanish, but the core classes are going to be taught in English. There is an exception to that rule, and that is it's either second or third. I think it's second grade and under. They can actually teach 50-50. Okay, so they'll spend half the day or the classes in English and Spanish, and then they'll switch. Okay, so it's completely dual immersion up until then, and then they have to start with that compliance and core subjects in English, everything else in Spanish. So that's a really good mix. And then the second thing is CRIA is really strong on after school activities. So they have a pool, they have swimming, they have a new gym. So all of the, basketball, volleyball, soccer, all of those. And then they also have structured after school activities covering a variety of things during the school year as well. Fashion design, for example, pickleball, Model United Nations. So it's a really great school for structure, for college accreditation, and then really strong on after school activities. All right, I gotta speed this up. This video is gonna go forever. All right, number 2, La Paz, such a great option. So, CRIA and La Paz are both at the top of their game in their own right. So La Paz is an IB school, the International Baccalaureate degree. So of course, that's more of an international degree. So, if you may go to Europe after this may be a great option, for you. A lot of my European clients really like La Paz. Complete dual immersion. Because they have the IB degree, they can do that. Big school, very well-rounded. Also have a ton of after-school activities. They have the pool. They have a brand new pool. Looks lovely. Big gym. Very, very, very community involved. Another thing I love about La Paz is they actually give scholarships to local Costa Rica children that can't afford it. And I think it's a great cause. We sponsor a child there, and that's just an amazing thing. They also have 2 locations. So one is in Flamingo, actually, if you watch this channel, if you've heard of me talk about Mar Vista, the gated community in Flamingo, such a great community. La Paz is at the base of that community right there at the center. And then they have another campus that they just opened recently, a few years ago, up north. And that's it's a great resource for my clients in the Papagayo Peninsula that want a quality education, Playas del Coco. So it's a really great option. And there was a big demand up there. And so that's why they opened up the school. So another strong option. The only thing I will say, I think if you're, depending on, again, your child's age, if they're coming in at 7th grade, half English, half Spanish may be a challenge for them, right? So you just got to keep those things in mind. Again, there's no best school. It's what your child needs also the age and where you're going to go after this. So La Paz is just certainly a wonderful option, has a great reputation in the community and a real close knit group of parents. They really support each other in the community. They have local farmers markets, and it's just a really beautiful thing. Number 3, Educarte. Love Educarte. It's another great option for our clients. They are MEP accredited, so Costa Rica accredited. Again, dual language, Spanish primary with strong English. They are an amazing, affordable option. So they're the best economic option, in my opinion, because they have lower tuition than the other schools. So another reason I like Educarte too is because close-knit community, which is great. And it's also centrally located. So CRIA and La Paz are located kind of in the Flamingo area. And, you know, we have a lot of clients in Hacienda Pinilla and Tamarindo. And so Educarte is right in the center, so everyone can come from all around. So great central location, great positive vibe, and a great affordable option for our clients. Okay, number 4, Journey. Journey has been a great welcome addition to our private schools in the area. Journey is definitely a smaller school, a newer school. They pride themselves, first of all, they're IB and US accredited, which is pretty cool. They're a more flexible, customizable school, I would say. So they pride themselves on like project-based learning, small class sizes. And so, you know, I do know that, they can customize, they're not stuck with like a 7th grade level, for example. So let's say your kid is super crazy expert strong in math, but really struggles with reading. You know, that's a great place. They can customize that learning schedule for the parents, which is really nice. It's kind of like a cool startup company, but a school. And they've been here now for years, and are really making a splash. What else was I going to say? Oh, I do think they're more flexible in terms of schedule. So remember, like let's say CRIA would be the most strict in terms of absenteeism, for example, because they have to follow that US accreditation. So I do think there's more flexibility in terms of schedule and also education curriculum at the Journey School. Okay, and 5th and final, we have Tide. Tide is another great alternative for our parents here. So this is going to be one of those more like boutique style, personalized learning, lots of flexibility in terms of what is taught, and also in terms of a lot of my traveling families really love the flexibility that they have at Tide. Think of it as like surf entrepreneur customized education at Tide. And so another reason we like Tide is because it's a great fit for those kids who don't fit in that traditional classroom setting. You know, they tend to thrive more at Tide. So that's a really great also addition to our community. So there you have it. Those are the top 5 schools. There are other schools in the area. I just wanted to cover, scratch the surface, so to speak. And these schools are where most of my clients attend. And the really cool thing is that all of these schools I just mentioned are like within 30 minutes of each other. So isn't that great to have all of these wonderful options? If you are interested in buying real estate here in Costa Rica and would like more information on any of these schools, don't hesitate to reach out to me and my team. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Ciao for now, and pura vida.